Gerald's Game is a Netflix original movie that was just released on September 29th. It's a movie that's based on this novel by Stephen King. It's a novel that's about 20 years old, which is about the time when I read it. And I definitely remember reading it. And if you see the movie, you'll definitely remember watching it too. The movie, when I first heard that it was going to be a movie, I was surprised because when I read the book, I never really saw it as a movie because at the time there was just theater or straight to video or TV miniseries. That's what they were doing with the Stephen King adaptations, and really not very much straight to video. But now with streaming, you get another option because streaming works really good for some of these Stephen King books because they're not always theatrical. They don't always have the big scenes that'll put people in theater seats. And they're a little too adult and a little too gruesome for broadcast TV. So having a streaming service that can buy the rights to these movies is really good, and I hope there's more. I did see that there's another one coming out next month in October called 1922 starring Thomas Jane that actually looks pretty good too, but we'll wait to see what that's about. So Gerald's Game, I'm going to get into a description of the movie, so I'll give a spoiler warning now because there is a couple of parts about the description that gives some things away, but they're already in the trailer, so it's not really giving away too much. And it is a book that's 20 years old. So you've been warned. The movie is about Carla Gugino's character, Jessie, and her husband, Gerald, played by Bruce Greenwood. Their marriage is kind of failing, and they want to spice things up. So they decide to play some kinky bedroom games. They go into a lake house, which is out in the, it's very isolated. There's nobody around. There's no neighbors. They made sure that, the gardeners and the delivery people, the maids, they're all away for that weekend because they want to have these kinky sex games and spice up their marriage. And it's all Gerald's idea, which is why it's called Gerald's Game. And what happens is, after Jessie gets handcuffed and they start playing this game and get things going, Gerald dies of a heart attack. So while she's handcuffed to the bed, her husband is dead on the floor next to her. And this is just in the beginning of the movie. So you can see how this is going to be a very isolated, intense thriller. A lot of psychological aspects here for sure. Like just not knowing what's going on, the isolated, so you can't call for help. You got a phone that's really close by, but not close enough where you can get to it. Having to deal with thirst and hunger, and also there's a stray dog that comes along, a very hungry stray dog, because they, in all their excitement, they left the door open. There's also what may or may not be a supernatural entity. It could just be her illusions because she is dehydrated, she is hungry, she has a bit of a psychological break, or it could be a real person. Or the third option is it could be something more supernatural. So there's that she's dealing with. She does have some illusions and some visions about her husband coming back and talking to her, even though she can see his body on the ground. So, and in that, Bruce Greenwood does a really good job. The chemistry they have together, it's just the two of them in this room. While he's her illusion, and she's having this conversation, basically a conversation with her mind, with her own mind. And it's really well done. Like Carla Gugino does a great job. So does Bruce Greenwood. Those are the two main stars. She also has some flashbacks to when she was a little girl and some things that happened with her dad that were not good. and her dad is played by Henry Thomas, who does a really great job too. And the girl that plays her in her younger days, it also does a great job. Those are the four main characters. So overall, it's really a more psychological thriller. There's maybe some supernatural elements. There's a lot of really great acting. And the director is Mike Flanigan, who directed Oculus and Ouija, and not the latest Ouija, and not the original. So, and also he directed Hush, which was a pretty acclaimed movie for Netflix. So it's well directed. It's very well acted. It's a good story. Like I said, I read it 20 years ago, and I still remember it because it is a very good story. And the ending, when she tries her final escape from those handcuffs, really gets to you, especially if you don't see it coming. I knew it was coming because I read it, and they really did a good job of being of respecting the source material in that aspect of it. So it was really good and really well done. The only negative, really, or it's not really a negative, but the only thing I would say is the ending dragged on a little bit, just a little bit, and they could have played up the more supernatural possibilities. I do remember, I haven't reread the book in a while, but I do remember that there was more supernatural elements and that there were more stories from when she was a little girl that they never really explored in the movie. But other than that, it was really well done, and I would definitely recommend it. It's getting a thumbs up, and I would give it an 8 out of 10. It's just lacking a little bit. Like I said, the ending drags on a little bit, and I would have liked to see more stories from her when she was a little girl, because I know that there's more than that than what they've showed in the book. So that is Gerald's Game. It's a Netflix original movie based on a Stephen King novel starring Carla Gugino, Bruce Greenwood, and Henry Thomas. And definitely recommended, and you should go watch it. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe, or all of the above. Thank you, and have a nice day.